Hey everybody, this is Dan.
And this is Ron.
This is a Nominee Questionable Movies, and tonight we're recording from a very special location with two very special guests, if they'd like to introduce themselves.
Hey all, this is Matt Cornell, formerly of Cinema of the Damned, and I'm taking my blood pressure now because I have high blood pressure, and I'm just going to see how my readings are affected, my vitals are affected by James Whale's classic Frankenstein.
And our second special guest is the Mahoning Drive-In Theater, the historical, maybe, it's unusual, and it's out in Pennsylvania. We're not usually in Pennsylvania.
Lehighton, Pennsylvania, 40 minutes from Allentown.
Yeah, and it's, industry might be dead, but the drive-in is hopping.
It is, it's huge, and it's packed.
And we just watched James Whale's Frankenstein, which 31, I believe.
Yep, and my vitals here are 124 systolic over 67 diastolic.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty good,
Yeah.
actually, but the resting blood pressure is 95. It's a little high.
Wow.
I mean, that's our resting heart rate,
Oh.
so I don't know.
That's higher than it was yesterday.
Yeah, well, we were going to take it after each film and kind of figure out which films are
Which
raising.
film's the scariest?
Yeah, which
Right,
film
right.
is the scariest? It's kind of a scientific approach to this thing.
Gosh,
Right.
I was seeing the blood pressure monitor just went to you, Dan. What's going on?
So I've always admired Matt's film criticism, so I thought the next step I could take to kind of follow in his footsteps is to get potentially high blood pressure. So,
Yeah.
So the doctor told me to do this 3 times a day, and so we are testing to see which of the 3 movies we're watching tonight is the most scary. I am terrible at doing that.
Also, since Dan is an honorary boomer, it's time for him to have high blood pressure. So.
That's true.
Right,
That's true.
right. This is the side.
You're, Yeah, but the main thing is you want to put it above your elbow, and
the
then
elbow.
this thing comes out that way, so that's good. And
This feels like trying to smoke a joint when you're
Yeah,
a teenager.
well, really, you're not supposed to do it through the shirt. We're probably going to get an inaccurate reading, but at least my appraisal of the film will be accurate.
All right, so listeners at home, what you're missing right now is that
Around.
Matt
Oh,
Matt and Dan are sitting in the front, and Matt is putting the cuff on Dan's arm.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit about
High blood pressure.
Frankenstein.
Oh, Frankenstein. Yeah, Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, so I realized while watching this that I'm much more familiar with this story through Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, same here.
And so I'm sure I've seen this movie, but not in a long time.
I haven't seen this in probably 17 years.
Yeah.
And I was struck by it's an incredibly tight film. There's not really a second of wasted film in there. Like Frankenstein, he fucks up with the kid, then the villagers are after him, then the movie's pretty much over.
I mean, I think you're kind of downplaying it. He drowns a small girl.
Yeah. Well,
up
that's
with the
that's a
kid.
fuck up.
Yeah.
Although
That's a party foul.
there's some other stuff in the movie beforehand too.
Yeah, so I think I'm
Like
just
the
gonna
creation.
die probably. I am so bad at this.
The first half hour is about the creation of the
Yes,
monster.
that's not
We should have
gonna
hired a nurse or something to accompany us to the film.
Yeah, I
work.
didn't
So,
see
yeah,
what.
'cause I'm like,
So what I wanted to say about Frankenstein is like,
right. Well, 131 over 94, so it was like 137
oh,
over
and your
87.
heart rate's kind of high too.
Oh yeah, that is high.
So yeah, the Mahoning Drive-In. We should probably talk about that.
Yeah. I like the way you described it earlier.
Yeah, they-
But man, how did you call it? It was the Burning Man of
The
drive-ins.
Burning Man of Drive-Ins.
Yeah.
It's been a drive-in since 1949, but I think the people who run it now they've taken a direction with it where they're not showing new movies; they're only showing old genre films on 35 millimeter. And they got tonight, this weekend it's all Universal horror monster movies, classic monster movies. So they have guys dressed up as Frankenstein. Is that a person dressed as a creature from the Black Lagoon, or just a statue?
I think it's a statue because it hasn't moved all night.
Right.
And I guess this is like a pilgrimage site for movie nerds. I don't know how many of these people actually live
I think
around the
there's
area.
more people here than live in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the pilgrimage. So I drove from Boston to Dan's place, which is about 3.5 hours. Matt took a train from New York to there, which was also about 3.5 hours. And then the three of us, and a half, drove down here, which was about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Magic number.
Yeah, but it was a lot of driving to come see movies that we could have seen for free online.
Yeah. Especially, we could have seen them in the same format because 35 sound equipment went down during Frankenstein, so we're watching Blu-rays tonight.
Yeah.
Which, I gotta be honest, the Blu-ray probably looks better than the film print they had.
Yeah,
it does.
It looks like a lot better.
Yeah. Not as cool though, but it was really cool. Even it's Blu-ray. It looked great on the giant screen.
Yeah,
and, we're sitting outside in our lawn chairs.
James Whale's Frankenstein. I think the upshot basically is that men will reanimate a dead body before going to therapy. Yeah. It's about men not being able to create life and what kind of hell that wreaks.
Right. Yeah, and I think also like single parents, like it's very right? Because Frankenstein doesn't have a mother.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got
he acts out.
He's got Fritz, which is Igor. That's sort of.
But that's really more of Victor's work wife. It's not very.
Yeah. It's like a stepdad.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't get enough attention at home from Igor.
But this movie has, despite being progressive in many ways, it has some problematic elements. I mean, of course, the brain that gets put in Frankenstein is an abnormal brain, which we learn is from a criminal, right? So there's this idea somehow that there's a brain that's inherently criminal or dysfunctional.
Wasn't that kind of at the end of The Sopranos, right? Like the Dr. Melfi reads that book where it's basically they try to rehabilitate the criminals and they just got better at it. Because they kind of knew what to expect because they went through this rehabilitation training. So
right.
There may actually be a criminal mind, so to speak.
You mean like a psychopath or something?
Yeah, like somebody where they kind of like when they've tried to do psychological like rehabilitate psychopaths. Usually it's just they learn how to mimic human behavior better.
Yeah, but Frankenstein's not Frankenstein's monster, rather. He's not like a high-functioning psychopath. He's a relatively...
He's a boss baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid. And that's the thing, is like, you nailed it. He's sort of like a precursor to Lenny and of Mice and Men.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not trying to kill that little girl. He thinks that's playing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he has like the control over his temper of like a small child. Like I think like a lot of movie monsters, it is just sort of it's like the mentality of a child in like a large, powerful body.
Right. One of the things that is funny about this too is that Karloff he doesn't get a credit. It's just question mark. Right?
Yeah. Just monster question mark.
Yeah.
And then they kill him at the end, and then somehow he gets married in the next movie.
Right, well, I think, yeah.
Oh, in Bride of Frankenstein?
Yeah, I mean, I have a more vivid memory of Bride of Frankenstein, which I think is considered the better film. But it's... I wanted to see this again to understand his relationship problems, sort of what brought him to that.
Elsa Lancaster. Sorry, I was trying to remember who played Bride of Frankenstein. Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, that's fine. I don't have much to say. I mean, this is... If you haven't seen Frankenstein, I don't know, you should probably watch it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, because I remember when I saw this initially, I was like, okay, I understand this is historically important, this is kind of stupid, but, like, I get where, this is the first place where you see the visual of, like, the villagers with the pitchfork, or with the torches that you see in, like, a million other things afterwards. Usually with the windmill, right? Like they stole that in the X-Men comics when they introduced Nightcrawler. It's a direct rip from the James Whale Frankenstein.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, in Giant Size X-Men #1 when they bring in the new X-Men characters. But
I mean, maybe I missed something here, but like at least in this version, I mean, of course it's a mob chasing him, but like he did kill a little girl. I mean, this is
right. He's a criminal. So this was a horror movie, right? But it wasn't scary, right? But at the time it was.
It probably was pretty scary, and I think it sets up a lot of the kind of narrative and visual tropes of horror movies generally.
Right.
And I think it shows the priorities are very, very different than a modern horror movie, because, like, in this movie, you only really have one kill shot, right? There's, like, one scene that's honestly not very long when he goes in when they're about to get married, right? And he scares everybody. And then there's the scene with him killing the little girl.
Wait. You mean the monster's getting married?
No. The professor's getting married.
Frankenstein,
doctor's getting married.
not the monster. Yeah.
And like a modern horror movie, a lot of the emphasis would be on like the scenes where somebody gets killed, the scenes where there's like some kind of shock, like some jumps out very quick, like jump scares, and there's nothing even remotely resembling a jump scare in this movie.
No.
Well, I know, like, Ron and I, about a year ago, watched another James Whale movie, which was very influential, the Old Dark House. Mm-hmm. And that's, like, considered one of the if not the original, haunted house movie. Mm-hmm. And unlike this movie, and more similar to, like, Bride of Frankenstein, that one's kind of campy. And it has a lot more subversive humor in it, and like definitely like identifiable queer content. And I'm not so sure about this one.
This one I think we said a little bit, but it was I think it was not pulling strings.
And I think like another thing I was kind of struck by watching this again was that there's so many iconic images in this that have been repeated. So I mean, like the scene right before the little girl gets killed, where she's throwing the flowers into the lake, I guess.
I think the next movie started.
It's like pretty okay. I'll finish this up quick, and then it's extremely close to when the little girl's playing with the money in Night of the Hunter, and I don't think and I think she's near a body of water. She's playing around with the doll, right, and she doesn't understand it's money, and she's just like taking the money out of her doll, and it's shot framed, and then the way Robert Mitchum approaches her eventually about the doll all feels very similar to how Whale did it in this Frankenstein movie, And yeah, there were just a lot of things where like this was echoed, but at the same time, there's no fat to this movie. It's just like boom, 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 event.
Yeah.
And so that's part one.
So they're starting up Dracula's Daughter right now. So, and I've never seen this one. So
yeah, same here. I didn't know it existed.
I didn't know he had a daughter. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's go watch the next movie.